I just listened to Can Economics Save the African Rhino, available on NPR, and read the subsequent mini article below. And essentially, this is about the illegal poaching of rhinos for their horns, which have an immense amount of value for something that is not inherently valuable due to superstition or whatever else made the price increase so much that poachers are breaking the law to kill the animals and harvest their horns for some serious profit. I think they said that a single horn will go for $250,000. That's not bad. And this whole podcast slash article thing is about 3 proposals on how to reduce or totally end the illegal poaching of rhinos. Proposal number 1 is to legalize the horn. This would entail allowing people to farm rhinos and to safely remove their horns without harming the animal. I'm not sure if they mentioned if the horns grow back or not. I don't think it really matters if they do or they don't. Either way, the animal isn't being harmed, and excuse me, and the horn is still available for sale. So this will allow farmers to make a lot of money off of the sale of rhino horns and the animals to stay intact. The drawback to this is that humanitarians believe the rhinos are going to lose their sense of the wild in a way that they really won't be wild animals anymore. They'll be farmed much like cows are. Cows we don't really think of as wild animals. We think of them as farm animals. We use them for milk and steak and all that good stuff. And people believe that the rhinos will just be farmed for their horns and you won't see a wild rhino anymore. They'll just be in cages. Proposal number 2 is to burn them. So back in 1989, Kenya had gotten a boatload of elephant ivory together and they burned it. And it was supposed to be symbolic of the fact that ivory really has no inherent value. It was valuable for the same reason that rhino horns are valuable. There really is no reason other than superstition. So they burned all this ivory, and it actually had, according to what we heard in NPR, I haven't done independent research to verify this or anything, but it drastically decreased the sale of ivory and the poaching of elephants, which is great. But the drawback to this proposal is there is no way of knowing whether or not it will actually have an impact on demand. So it may be one heck of a symbolic message, but if a poacher still sees a rhino and they have the ability to make $250,000 off of killing that rhino and getting its horn, whether you burned a $500 million worth or not, that poacher's still probably going to do that. And proposal number 3 really isn't much different than the one we just discussed, but instead of burning the horns, they plan on poisoning the horns. So instead of giving everybody this nice symbolic message about how rhino horns really aren't worth anything, they're going to poison them and make whoever comes into contact with them or consumes them seriously ill. Now, this may be effective, but again, it won't have any immediate effect on the demand of rhino horns, because until people start croaking and dying, poachers are still going to go out there and they're still going to kill the rhinos and they're still going to make their $250,000 a horn. They'd be stupid not to, really. So proposal number 3 and proposal number 2 may have some long-term impacts to decrease the demand of rhino horns, but I don't think that there's any way of really proving that they will. I think that both of these methods could fall on their face and really do nothing. I think proposal number 1 has a pretty serious shot at correcting the issue, because if you make this a privatized effort, as in you have farmers who are able to farm the rhinos and safely remove their horns without killing them, while the rhinos may lose the fact that they're wild animals or whatever people were afraid of, you're now eliminating the poaching aspect of it, because farmers will be able to safely raise and harvest the horns and then sell them at a lower price than poachers, because they're not taking any risk. They're just raising the animal like they would a cow. They don't have to sell the horn for $250,000. And then once it gets down to a much cheaper price, hopefully the demand of it goes down, and then maybe nobody will care about rhino horns and they can just go back to being wild animals. And when I look at all of this and I think back on listening to the podcast, really the only economic concept that's sticking out to me, and it's right in my face, is the law of demand. Because rhino horns are so rare due to the fact that the sale of them is illegal and poachers have to do something incredibly illegal to gather them, and I'm sure it's not necessarily easy to kill a rhino and harvest its horn and sell it and all that stuff with all these regulations going on. That's why they're so valuable. So really, this is a clear textbook definition of the law of demand to me. And aside from that, I think that basically wraps up the discussion.